Welcome to Mastering Mortgages, presented by Revolution Mortgage, the podcast that demystifies the world of mortgages, real estate, and homeownership. Our goal is to empower and inspire homebuyers, real estate professionals, and mortgage industry leaders. My name is Danielle, and I want to invite you to join me as I sit down with today's guest to talk about practical tips and valuable insights into the mortgage industry. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Mastering Mortgages podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have Dave Lukacsko, Director of HR and Licensing, alongside Joe Frank, Executive Branch Success Partner at Revolution Mortgage. Join us as we discuss the intricacies of building a winning team. Let's dive in. Well, thank you so much, Dave and Joe, for joining us today. We're really excited to have you guys on and just go over a little bit about building a winning team. But first off, I just wanted to kick off with a little bit of a fun question maybe. And if you had to switch jobs with someone in your organization for a day, who would it be and why?
You want me to go first, Joe?
Go for it.
All right. I did think about this one. Because we've got so many, I say it every day, everybody's probably heard me say this, like we've got so many amazing people in the company. So it was hard to pick. But what I thought, if I could do this split between this guy, Joe, Tim, and Tony, not that everybody else isn't important, but I love what he does, Joe. I love what Tony does, and I love what Tim does. If I could somehow mesh those three together, I think it'd be a perfect day for what I would want to do. So I think somehow if I could get those three and mesh them together, I think it would be a perfect job. That's a compliment to you, buddy.
Well, thank you, Dave. I would, in thinking about that question, I would be more inclined to say I would like to be a closer for a day. It's really off the wall, I know, but the why behind that is I've already run a branch. We've all already run branches. We've all been loan officers. I kind of get that side of the business. I've never closed a loan and gone through the stress of what some of the sales folks might put on our closers, and I do see it from a different level, but I think I'd like to be a closer today, just for a day and operate under that fire.
That is a good one.
Might be enjoyable.
I like it. Looking for the challenge, it sounds like. And then, I guess also just to tag off of that, what do you think you learned from those experiences of being in a different position?
For me, it's always interaction of the employees. I think, we have a pretty strong culture around Revolution and respect in the workforce and whatnot. So I'm always very conscious of how folks treat each other. And it kind of reminds me of that show Undercover Boss. It'd kind of be cool to experience the closing side of it and see how our folks are reacting in the field and such, because I was and am a salesperson, and I understand that things can get a little bit heated at times. And so for me, I think I'd like to experience that side of it to see that and see how some of our folks react under stress a bit.
True. Gosh, I wouldn't want people to see me behind closed doors, how I react. But I think for me, being a fly on the wall sometimes, listening to Joe, because I sit next to him here, listening to Tim, because we have a lot of interaction with recruiting and who's coming on board, and then kind of knowing what Tony does in the background. I think I just find it so interesting that these three guys do such a good job at what they do. When we couldn't have grown without recruiting. We couldn't have done and implemented what we've done without Tony. We couldn't have managed and helped all these great branches all over the country without what Joe does. So I just think I would learn and really I would have soaked in so much if I would have been able to do those roles over the course of the last couple of years. I find it really interesting.
Yeah, those are both great perspectives to have, and it kind of dives into a little bit of what we're going to go over today, just with a winning culture. And obviously you guys are kind of giving high praises to the Revolution team, but let's just go ahead and dive into kind of the hiring process, and how do you approach the hiring process to ensure that you're bringing in not just skilled individuals, but the right cultural fit for the organization?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think as we've grown, and Joe knows this, and Joe, it's no secret he has a business coach, and I think it's been valuable for him. But I think as we've grown, we have learned that not everybody's a right fit. Not everybody's a good fit for what we want. Here's a good example. I think a great loan officer doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great branch production manager, and doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be able to really control cost, do things correctly within their branch, treat people right. So I think as you're talking to people and interviewing them, you kind of look at those keys. Are they a team player? Are they looking to grow something? Are they looking to be part of something greater than just themselves? And I think that's valuable when you're talking to somebody.
Yeah. We've all been in the business a long time, and we've met a lot of folks. There's a lot of dynamic personalities in this industry, and so I think to Dave's point, I think you need to be conscious of who you're pairing together and make sure that the team all works. So one of the first things we do is we have folks into town and break bread the old-fashioned way, go to dinner, have a meet up with all our department heads, and see if there's a good fit there. I personally, I read a book a long time ago called Hire the Best, Avoid the Rest. And not a plug for Dr. Mercer or anything, but over 20-some years ago when I got into management, I read that. And I think you can learn a lot by listening more than talking. I'm one that would listen more in a setting of a lot of people than talk. And so folks will generally give you the information that you're looking for if you let them. And I think that helps us, feel that folks are going to fit into our culture and be a good fit and be a good team player, because that's what we have here is a lot of folks that make up a great team working together.
I think Joe hit on a good point. When you're talking to people, a lot of times, I won't call it an interview, but sometimes when you're talking to people, you can find yourself doing more of the talking rather than listening to the person you want to hear out. And so sometimes if you just listen more, you're going to gain so much out of it. I will say, I think I've been surprised at some people in the country where I thought, I don't know if they're going to be a great fit, and they turn out to be, a super person, a great fit. So you can be surprised, but when you're talking to somebody and you're just trying to get to know them in a short period of time, that listening approach is just, you've got to just listen to them rather than do all the talking.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We're looking for the entrepreneurial spirit, so we have to hammer out while we meet folks and while they meet us, are they going to be a fit to, really grow their business and run on their own? Because those are the folks we're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. Y'all hit some good points there. And, maybe there's somebody that's going to be listening in and they're considering maybe making a switch. And so that's some good advice just for them to know what we're looking for. But then also it is a two-way street, like we want them to be a good fit for Revolution Mortgage, but also, it's important for them to make sure it's a good fit for them as well. But love what you guys have been saying so far. On the flip side of that, just want to talk a little bit about, job hopping, and that's on the rise. So, maybe you get somebody over on the team that you really like and you think they're doing really well, making a big impact. But which strategies have you found most effective in retaining top talent and then fostering a sense of loyalty among our team?
I know that's tough in our business. Joe will say that too, because in our business, hopping around is kind of commonplace.
Took a 3 to 4. It's like a high school stint.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
So it's hard because you want to get attached to somebody and really want to grow with them and foster them and help them. But in our business, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, how long will they really be around? And I know we've done it in our careers, but everybody's got to do what's right for them. But I think if you foster a sense of like family and getting to know them and really, trying to be a friend with them, I think that goes a long way. And I think one thing for, certainly Joe does it well with dealing with the branches all over the country, but Tim's been great at that, just fostering those relationships. And I think if we can do that, I think that kind of helps, if somebody's thinking, well, maybe I want to make a change, but then they have that sense of loyalty to the company and to everybody that's, kind of helped them come up. I think that helps.
Yeah, I think retention is really about, it goes back to the last question, it's about hiring the right folks, making sure you have the right fit, and doing the right thing and being collaborative. Those are all really taglines that we live by here, but we live by them every day. So I think if you find the right person in the recruiting process, you give them the tools to succeed and win. We talk a lot about winning in our branches. And I think people want to stick around, and I've always tried to be fair, direct, honest, and be an open human. And I think that helps us out a bunch. There's just not enough real people in the mortgage business that just kind of shoot it from the hip. And there's no need not to be. Sometimes you got to make tough decisions. One of the biggest things I've learned, in this company in the last 5 years and growing it is that. I'm just not going to be able to please everybody on a daily basis. That's just not possible. But what I will tell you is you can offer the why behind it. You can be compassionate, empathetic, and realistic and explain things to folks. And as long as you communicate, you can usually come to a common ground, even if it wasn't the answer they're looking for. A lot of those things help with retention. We like to collaborate. There are many, many things that we do on a daily basis now throughout our tech stack and our process flow, all the way up until funding the loan that were brought to us by branches and managers that have been in the mix around the country a long time, and they've seen a lot, and we take that information and we put it into place. And I think when people feel like they're part of a team and they've contributed, they're certainly going to feel valued, and they are valued, and that kind of keeps people sticking around. It's a good place to be. We're all here for a paycheck, but you got to live.
But money's not everything. I mean, everybody learns
happiness is everything, really, to me.
Yeah.
So. I think you gotta fuel that with your job, and you gotta be in the right job for that.
I think if I told Joe, "Hey Joe, what's KDRA?" Yeah. You've had this tagline forever, right?
Yeah.
What's KDRA? Kind, different, relevant, authentic, and the last thing we say is do the right thing. And I think that's hopefully we try to portray that. Ultimately we want to do the right thing out there, but KDRA, we was like, what was that TV show a long time ago? KDRA.
WKRP.
We are from Ohio. We are from Ohio. But KDRA, be kind, different, relevant, authentic, but do the right thing. I think that's what we try to live by. And hopefully that comes across to everybody. So if they're thinking about making a change, that loyalty will hold true, and maybe they'll stay.
I agree. I feel like that's never too far from our plate, because I feel like I get 10 at-bats a day at doing the right thing with folks in branches at least. So keeps me sharp, and we certainly try to do that. So hopefully that keeps people around. We really like to have the family feel that we have around here. I know a lot of our managers that go online, I see in social platforms, and they talk about the family feel, and that really makes me happy and feel good about what we're providing as a company.
So kind of just to hop off or move along with what you guys are saying about, just the family atmosphere and how even, you guys came from different companies. So I would like to hear a little bit more about where you came from, how you got involved with Revolution Mortgage, and just tell us a little bit of a background about yourself, maybe something, interesting of how you got here, or just what your journey has been.
Where do we start?
I can start. Yeah, I sold windows and doors to a manager a long time ago, and he was in the business of mortgages, and so I interviewed in the mortgage business the next day. So that being said, I started at the big banks and was there for about 14 years or so before I broke into, about 12 years before I broke into the platform that we're in now, on the P&L platform, with Tim Johnson bringing me into that world. But Tim, Tony, Dave, and myself, we all go back 20 plus years at one of those larger banks around town. So it's kind of where we all met, learned a lot about the industry, and learned what we looked for out of it and what we wanted to create. And I think when we were all introduced and 2012 to 14 to this platform, we kind of got a vision for what could be the future. So that's how I came about it.
Yeah, gosh, it's funny to think about where you came from a long time ago. I started out of college making potato chips and Doritos at a big company that everybody knows. And then I don't know how it kind of morphed into some other things, but opened some sub shops, kind of really became more entrepreneurial. Like, I really like this. Really like doing some things on my own with a good team and really developing a business. So got into some commercial real estate, kind of morphed into lending, met these guys, and actually knew Tony when, he was a processor at a big company, and he did a great job, and that's how he kind of learned loans. And then I've known Tim for many years and his family, and we just all thought it was a great fit to come together. And I think it's been great. I couldn't dream of doing something else. So it's been wonderful for all of us.
There's a little tidbit about the start of the company. We the four of us had 3 branches around town here for another outfit running in this platform, and they were all shut down at the same time. Tony had this idea to do this and entrepreneurial spirit, and got Tim to come into play, and so we all started talking and shut down the branches we had and opened this company. But everybody that was working with us in our branches came with us.
Yeah, everybody came
and
from
I thought that was I didn't think that was attainable, but it happened, and that was a huge thing. And Revolution is today what they are based on the 42 original folks that came to us, a lot of which are with us today.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is phenomenal.
It is. I think that's a good testament to really a lot of what Tim and Tony built too. But when you get into this and you start looking at it, and you're like, oh, we can do this, and you're kind of cutting out the middleman, and you're saying, okay, we can open up something like this and really create something pretty special. It's probably more than you would ever thought it was going to be in terms of the work, what goes into it, everything that happens to originate a loan, close a loan, fund a loan. It was quite an animal, but we've all learned a lot, and it's been a great process and a great journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces that go into it, but you guys being there from the beginning really have the best insight and idea of how, you can take something and run with it and build that winning team. So I guess yeah, go ahead.
I think about this all the time, like without marketing, without closing that Joe mentioned, without, compliance, without HR. I mean, you go to every piece. It's amazing the company could not run without every piece. And you realize that as you start putting your hands on everything as one of the owners, you start realizing that it's like, wow, all these people in every different department and every different facet of the company, without them, this does not go. So that doesn't go unnoticed, and you really learn that as you're building the company.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. And one thing that we just wanted to cover too is, part of building a winning team and building these good departments and just having everything kind of come together is having positive relationships with your employees. So how do positive relationships with current employees contribute to kind of a domino effect impacting overall company success and growth?
I know Joe's probably got a lot of thoughts on this too, because, it's hard to deal with branches all over the country. Yeah. That's a difficult task. I'm going to tell you this. I really think I try to, and I think we do, we try to make it less about work and more about what we're building and what we're trying to attain and the fun that we can have with it. I think people like to be challenged. I think people like to, want to be heard, want to be challenged, want to be part of that process. And I just think if you make that interesting and fun and then you achieve that goal, I just think it can be really special.
There's a ton of teamwork involved in that. And I say that because there are folks that run branches that close multi-millions a month, and there are branches that close a few million a month. Both businesses can be ultra profitable, right? And they're run in different ways, and they're offering different things in their community, whether it just be more jobs, or different products or loans to the folks in that community. So that collaboration between our branches builds an interesting dynamic of teamwork that I have not seen anywhere I've worked. It's more competitive in the sales world where you're like, I'm going to get that guy, I got to smoke him, I got to beat those numbers. And we still think that way. But it's truly somebody trying to help you get there and drive them as well.
I think that's huge what you just said, because no matter how big or small you are, you can be successful. And we want to help you get there. You can be a small, portion of it, but you're still a big portion to us. Or you can be a big producing branch, and that's big too. But they're all important. But I think we like the fact that somebody can call us. Anybody can call us. A manager out west can call us. A manager out east. A closer can call us. Somebody from compliance can call us. I think we really like that we can be in touch with everybody. I think that's important.
Yeah, we've built this company to reach a certain size, keep a certain scale, keep a certain org chart with that scale and size. A piece of that is the communication, and so we do pride ourselves on that. My phone is constantly ringing and going off, and that's just part of the gig. I enjoy that. I was a loan officer for 20 years doing loans, and so I'll never forget where you are and what you can need at certain times of day. So to be available is huge. We got off topic a little bit there, but that is important to be available. To wrap back to the teamwork part and the domino effect, I really, in the platform that we exist, as I said, the managers all work together. I even have on my team, my success team inside the company, one of our managers that works with me and transitions groups into our company and gives his time on his and expertise to these folks coming into a new environment, and it's just selfless and it's crazy. So we've got so many people like that in this company that really, and we're just blessed and fortunate for it. That's for sure.
They want to share their ideas. We'll get an email, and somebody from, who knows, out east will answer the email because they just want to give their input. They want to give their expertise, and I think that creates that kind of that friendship, that family. Hey, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Even though it's not benefiting them, they want to help that other person. I think that's pretty huge. We see that every day.
I've never been at a company where there was a group email chat that just goes around to help everyone nonstop. We've all had help desks and whatnot, but that email chain that those guys keep going is something else, and it's a good resource for them. It just shows you what they're all about, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good insight, and I can see, people building each other up. That just is something that would be exciting to be a part of, and again, just helps with the company's success. And also, I think too, it just sounds kind of like what you guys are saying is, even as the company grows, you guys really try hard to still keep that small company family-like feel to it. So even though the numbers grow and the branches are, across the U.S., still feel like you can pick up the phone and call somebody and have that relationship still. So that's really great. And, I just want to leave the last bit of our time together to leave the floor open to you guys. If there's any more points that you wanted to make about building a winning team, or if there was any other remarks that you guys just wanted to share, go for it.
I can say some. Because that's my daily makeup is to build a winning team and have what I do here at Revolution is to help branches succeed and work with managers daily. And I think from the tech stack to the process flow and everything you create from the mechanical side of a loan is very important, clearly, and people will leave companies for that. And as we talked about earlier, people will stay at companies for other reasons that we've built as well. So I think, for me, one of the biggest things is to make sure that we're always on the cutting edge of technology, and we're always, able to provide that product that can win for a branch. That is what we talk about daily on the sales side. and if our branches aren't winning, we're not winning. So that's a huge piece. But as we talked a little bit about today, I think the people are a huge piece too, from the front end all the way to the post-closing department, where we release loans. So, I think we've got that culture built, and, I'm excited to see where we go in the future.
Yeah, I think we've got that culture of communication that nobody's really afraid to pick up the phone and call each other, talk, email. I think that communication has been so important, and that's what we pride ourselves on. I probably get accused sometimes of over-communication, but I just want to make sure we...
Like those 12 emails I wake up to?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Did you see those this morning? But it's like you want to make sure that, everybody clearly has that plan, that goal, that whatever you're working on, so there's no confusion. And then you let them go do their work, and then you got to let them take some risks too. Like you got to let them go out there and just, hey, what can I do? How can I really make this happen? Delegate those tasks, communicate, and hopefully achieve your goals.
In September of 18, I don't think I could have ever envisioned where we would be, in November of 23. And it's been an amazing ride and journey. And the original 42 we started with, we're one big branch, and we're running around, and we're having to figure out how to submit the loans, the DU, LP, like just crazy stuff, and to see where we are now functioning in 48 states and the amount of branches that we have, it's really amazing. And the changes have been slow but quick, and we have a lot of people to thank for it.
We do. Well, and it's funny when you say slow, but 5 years went fast.
Yeah.
Like it went super fast. And I think one thing that we're all proud of, and everybody that works here, we've made all these positive changes that sometimes come with pain. Hey, we're changing this platform, we're changing this payroll, we're doing this. And everybody's like, oh no, not again. What are we doing? But every move that I think we've made, it's been for the better, to make the company run more efficient. And so I think as we try to grow, we put those things in place, and with technology and systems and processes to try to make it better for everybody in the field, to make everyone's job easier ultimately. Because maybe it was easier when you had 42, but as you grow to 600 or whatever it is, right now about 600, that you had to put all these things in place. But everything we did was for the better and just to make the company run smoother.
Yeah, I agree. I think Timmy came to me in 19, and Tony, they had already discussed it and talked about expanding into this world of other branches. And, I had it on my mind when we started this company to take down a local company that was close to us, and just in a good competitive way. And, just kind of beat their numbers. And then, Tim and Tony bringing the branching world into was a whole different dynamic. But
what I was going to say was, in terms of that growth, it's not easy. Like nobody's going to say, hey, that was easy. It was all fun.
Well, part of the beauty in seeing this happen is because I'm very good at working with the things, in front of me and helping people be successful, which is why that's what I do at this company. Tim, Tony, big visionaries, and, part of what I've experienced and selfishly through this whole growth is to see people win and succeed, and that's been a big thing for me. I used to love winning personally from an athletic background as a kid all the way through college, and to a loan officer. And when I got a deal, I won. And I kind of was lacking that when we went into this and started really managing. But to then bring on branches and see them win and help them win. I've always said this to folks when they come meet us and check out our company. And I said, I consider ourselves the Robin Hood of the business. We truly want to, give the most we can to a branch and make them as successful as possible. And I believe that we do that on a daily basis. That's been a huge selfish takeaway for me and a good thing. But, I guess it's worked both ways for the branches and ourselves. But to see so many people succeed and, it also gives me thanks for our partners, because it leads into another thing. A lot of people are like, wow, there's 4 of you. That's a crazy. How does that work? And the dynamic in it. And we are all different in many ways. And it took the vision of Tony to even get this going, and the guts to get it going. And it took Tim and his dynamic personality to really round up the whole country and say, hey, let's open branches. And Dave and I are on the backside and the technical side of things, making sure things are running smooth down the river. So that has been fun for me.
Yeah.
And I love to see all the branches that we have winning right now in a tough
I'm
environment.
glad you had that thought, because I can remember some branches we had early on. We're like, oh my God, I just don't think they're going to get it. I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to get it. And then you keep working with them. And then they keep trying. Then all of a sudden it clicks. And then all of a sudden that's so rewarding to see that. And we probably know who some of those branches are. Mm-hmm. And they're still here today. And you're like, oh my God, they get it. And that was so huge for us, that we can do this. We can make it work. And I guess we'll never forget that. Especially with some of the branches that came on with us early. Mm-hmm. That was so valuable to stick with us and grow with us and just be patient, because, this is not a patient process sometimes. Mm-hmm. But we're so thankful for everybody out there, thankful for everybody behind the scenes, thankful for everybody that originates, and truly thankful for the company we have right now.
Yeah, this should have been our Thanksgiving episode. But yeah, I guess just kind of to touch a little bit more to just something to end on is I wanted to see if you guys had, maybe there's somebody listening to this episode that is a branch manager and they're trying to work on, they're an entrepreneur, so they're trying to build their own winning team at their branch. Maybe just a takeaway or piece of advice for them. Or on the flip side, if somebody is a processor, a loan officer, and they're part of a team, and they're looking to join a winning team, then maybe just some encouragement for somebody that could be listening that's in that position as well. So either one, just see if you guys had anything to say on that.
I've got one real quick that just came to mind. I would tell anybody, really in any part of the company, don't get discouraged. Like, we're on your side. And for me, growing up in my career, it was hard for me to take criticism. It was hard. Mm-hmm. And I finally had to learn that's part of the gig. That's part of the whole deal. You got to learn that, especially from people that might know more than you, might be more experienced. I'm not saying we are necessarily. That's why I think the collaboration we have in the country is so great. There's people that have years of experience out there, more than me. So you got to be able to listen and take that criticism, but take it, then run with it and do something better.
Yeah, I think that's a good advice. For me, when you ask that question, I think authenticity and in the masses of people in this world. And I think you see some of that on social these days. But what I mean by that is, if you're trying to build your branch or, as a manager and attract folks, or you're trying to build your business as a loan officer and build your brand and whatnot, I can't think anything's more important than authenticity. And I wish I'd have known that. That's just a piece of advice I have today that, I wish I'd have known that 20 years ago when I was building my brand and whatnot. And I think there's so many people in our workforce that we're not all meant to work together. That's a fact. Some people collide, but you'll find the folks that you are meant to work with if you're authentic to yourself and real. So for me, that's the advice I would give you. It struck me when I realized there was 8,000 and I think 70 some realtors in Central Ohio. When I was in LO, I read that stat, and obviously a small chunk of them do the bulk of the business. But I got to thinking, there's at least 20 of them out there like me, right? Mm-hmm. So that whole numbers game. I think if I was offering advice to a manager or an LO or anybody in the branch themselves trying to further their career, it would be, stay true to you and your core and your value standards, and you'll attract folks that are like you. And with that, you're going to have, a dynamic team.
I'll tell you on that, I think with that, be true to yourself, but you can always improve. I think always in my mind, I'm like, every day I'm trying to, how can I do this better? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve? And I think if you have that mindset, you can build that team together. You can, if you work together to just keep improving out there and what you're doing, and just have that mindset that maybe you don't have all the answers, but somebody else can help you, and you can constantly improve who you are.
Yeah, those are such great points. And yeah, overall, it sounds like maybe if you don't already, find a mentor, and then stick it through and be authentic, and that will draw people that are like-minded and help you build that winning team. But then also just always keep looking for ways to make things better.
Don't be afraid to get a coach. Don't be afraid to get a coach. I wish I had a coach years ago. It is an investment in yourself, and a lot of people think it's too pricey and they don't have the money to do it. But I tell you what, you don't have the time, whatever. I'm more busy than I've ever been right now. I'll tell you, you make the time and you learn. It is a huge piece of our game to have that person to bounce things off of, drive you when you need it, and just be another set of ears. So I would encourage anybody to look into coaching as well.
I think it's invaluable. I think when I was younger, I'm getting old now, but when I was younger, I did that. I went through a lot of coaching sessions, and it was huge. Intimidating, but it was huge. Really helped out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think this is a great point to just kind of end on here. And, hopefully people that are listening in, they'll take something away, especially the last few things we talked about, I think are just some great insights and great advice coming from somebody with a lot of experience. So thank you guys so much for just being on the show today and talking about building a winning team and just giving more insight into how the right approach and how to do that.
Danielle, thank you. You did a great job. Perfect. Good job, Joe.
Thank you.
To stay up to date with our podcast, please subscribe, follow us on social media, and visit our website, revolutionmortgage.com, to learn more about how we are revolutionizing the mortgage industry. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you next time.